Hey everybody. I've been really wanting to do a Charlie related video for a while now. And so, it's also been requested in the comments, which there aren't really a lot of comments in my videos, but in the few comments that there have been, that's been what people have been asking for, and that's also been something that I've been wanting to do as well. So that's definitely a good thing that aligns with what I want to talk about. Um, for this one in particular, I think it's gonna be a two-part thing, and I'll try to be as brief as possible so as to fit them both in this video. But basically, I'm going to be talking about two different sides of the social coin here for Charlie's content. Now, when I talk about social coin, I mean the and not to be confused with parasocial, right? Because that's definitely not something that you want to do. But when you're seeing Charlie's content on the live stream, you get a chance to chat and send a message, and sometimes it's very difficult to get across to Charlie, right? Because of certain instances where it just doesn't go through, and or he doesn't read it. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But the the other side of the social coin is basically the Charlie's social life, right? Like his friends, his family, and how they related to his content, right? And so I'll talk about that as well. So for the viewership thing, obviously I'm a really related. It's really relatable to me because I'm a viewer of a lot of his streams. So I get to chat in there and make messages basically appear in front of Charlie, and then he has the chance to say a response or something like that, and so it's like, yeah, let's do it. We got a response on the video. But at the same time, that doesn't happen to everybody, right? And so I felt like that would be a topic to talk about because especially when it comes to parasocial relationships and stuff like that. I've talked about that before, but when it comes to streaming, that becomes a bit of a vulnerability for people with mental illnesses, myself included, of course. And so it's really important to be able to know and distinguish between the proper way to get Charlie's attention and not the proper way. And this also applies to other people too, but because I'm so well acquainted with Charlie, as a fan of his content in his streams, um, I can easily answer those questions, and they may also apply to other people as well. But as far as how Charlie does it, it may be different. And same thing for when he's with his buddies and his family, and how they sometimes get a piece of the pie on his content. Um, so he multicasts on YouTube and Twitch. He's been doing it for quite some time now, and it's kind of an interesting uh, there's an interesting difference between YouTube like comments, chat, like the live chat, and then Twitch live chat. For YouTube, it's a lot of super chats. Basically, the more money you put down, the more it will get pinned to the top, and the longer it'll stay pinned. Basically, it's like the higher you pay, the more likely they are to see it in general. And also the more words you or letters, characters you can put down. So um, for like a couple dollars, you can put down the super chat, but it goes in the main chat. Like down where you have like the bottom part where the actual chat is, not pinned like the more expensive ones go. And so they get swept away if it's a very busy chat, which usually on YouTube it is pretty busy. I'd say usually in terms of viewership, it's about like 1-to-2 ratio for Twitch to YouTube. So like for every one person on his Twitch, there's 2 people on YouTube, and that's kind of giving it a little bit of credit on Twitch side. Usually, it's more than 1-to-2. It's usually 1-to-3. Um, but I'm just being kind to Twitch, I guess. I mainly use Twitch, so I don't use Super Chats. And in fact, the one time I did use it, I made a huge mistake. Um, it was on his giveaway stream, and I gave a $5 Super Chat, and it got pinned at the very end of the stream. And so he was leaving, and so that was the biggest waste of $5 I had ever spent. But I was just trying to send a message to Charlie about the giveaway stream being a bit unusual with the particular gifts that people were asking, which are a little bit lewd, I guess you could say. And so I was just making a comment about that, like and so that went completely to waste. But it is what it is, right? Sometimes people make these mistakes, and unfortunately, you can't get your money back. So you got to be careful about that, especially on YouTube. The cheaper super chats will definitely get swept away the most. Um, it's very likely that you won't even get seen. And of course, Charlie likes to direct his content as much as he can. As I've said before, he's basically trying to get control of what he does, and usually he'll start off his content right off the bat with a topic in mind, so he'll already have something set. And usually, for the most part, they'll make people want to say things, especially in super chats related to that, but 90% of the time that's not actually going to happen, and people say the things they want to say anyway. Charlie will say or answer the things that are more expensive, and unfortunately, that's just a caveat of the way YouTube has super chats. Like I said, the more you spend, the longer it gets pinned. And if it's too cheap, it won't get pinned at all. So it's really unfair to people who don't spend a lot of money. But it is fair if you're not in like a parasocial like relationship with Charlie, and you're not looking for attention and you don't really mind. You just want to donate money instead of outright getting angry and stuff like that, right? I lost $5. It's not like a big deal, right? In fact, I'll have to admit that more because I'm on Twitch a lot. A lot of people tend to send a lot of gift subs on Twitch on those particular days, which is crazy because it's not like a super chat when you do a gift sub. You don't get to say anything really, right? It's just gift subs, and that's so. I mean, entirely different, motive for doing that. Basically, right? It's just literally donate money to people and to give subs away. So that's and it also floods the chat too, which is great because it's like, wow, holy crap, 50 gift subs, and that does happen too from time to time, and it's you know, if you want to get your message seen by Charlie, then you really have to do a few different things, or have to be aware of them, right? One, I've already mentioned, he likes to be very directed with his, content. So if you're in line with whatever he's talking about, then that's gonna increase the likelihood. Um, Especially if it's just a regular message, not like a super chat or anything. There's a high likelihood it'll be mentioned. However, you also find that a lot of people will say the exact same thing at the same exact time, so it won't really make a difference overall. He'll say it no matter what because like 10 other people said the same thing, right? So, like in that case, then obviously it's going to direct the chat, or direct Charlie toward the chat because they're all saying the same exact thing. In the case that you're saying a specific thing about like a specific question, try to keep it concise and use as few characters as you can. Yeah, this is helpful in two ways. Obviously, it's helpful if you're doing a very cheap super chat on YouTube and you don't want to spend a lot of money because of the character limit. It's very, it only gives you like probably, I don't know, 15, 20 characters to work with or something like that. I don't know, but it's pretty short, and so you have to be really concise. You almost have to use texting language a bit. Um, but it's like you're being concise, but you're also driving a point. So that's helpful as well in that case. And so if you're doing it on Twitch, there's no super chat really. You can send a message if you're doing not a gift sub, I don't think, but just a regular sub. You can send a message with it, but I mean, usually he doesn't, reply to that. One time I did do it, and he did reply to it, and it was a very interesting question, but not like totally out of the blue. It was just like he answered the question, and he moved on from it, right? Like you can get instances where that will work. Um, so you can go ahead and try it. It does make, for using a Prime sub, for instance, you're already paying for Prime. So you get a free sub basically once a month. If you're going to do that, you could get a free, response, I guess, if it's not anything super crazy, it's concise and all that, then all the more power to you, man, Then, of course, there's also the fact that if you spam the message on Twitch or YouTube, then maybe you have a higher likelihood of having it seen by Charlie. But the thing with that is really, that doesn't allow other people to really be able to do and send a message, especially if it's in caps lock. It's like basically screaming, and it just makes it pop out, and people can't really, say anything and reply to it. A lot of people are probably going to look at me and think, "Oh yeah, you're telling us not to do that." When, like a year ago, I almost exclusively typed in caps lock. Yeah, back then, exclusively Twitch, especially, a lot of people typed in caps lock, and I tried to kind of do a lot of that, kind of almost, on purpose, because it seemed so unusual that people would be so screamy and yelling and stuff like that. So I think, why not just join him if he can't beat him, right? But now that Twitch has really quieted down a bit, it's really important now more than ever not to yell and use all caps, because it's like, what are you trying to do? Like, you need to let other people have a chance as well as you. And so, you gotta be fair. Um, you can't spam. If you send a message like once every 5 minutes, that's okay, right? It's like a big distance. That's not even spamming at all. But I mean, you're not gonna really increase your likelihood of it like being talked about by Charlie, because especially if it's not related to what he's talking about anyway, it's just gonna get glossed right over. So you're not gonna really increase your probability of a virus virus. Yeah, you could probably spam, but that's also gonna get you muted by the mod. So definitely, just be fair, be concise, do do a message that makes sense to you for the content, especially especially for me with like ADHD, um, like up to here. It's really important for me to talk on topic because that helps me to basically learn. Now, I'm not saying that Charlie is like, an educator, like for when it comes to things that are actually important in life. But, when it comes to really feeling rewarded for being a good communicator in chat, it's really important for you to follow those rules and to be, on topic, because it just rewards you more when he responds, and it's a good, rewarding thing. Um, if you're asking him really weird questions or sending $20 super chats and asking the most bizarre thing ever, it's not really gonna garner a lot of attention by Charlie. And of course, it's really just unfortunate that some people do like to talk about unfortunate things going on in their lives, and so it does elicit quite a response emotionally from anybody who sees it, right? Like that kind of stuff. I mean, if you really wanted to send stuff like that at that moment, you're free to do it. I'm sure, especially for super chats. Uh, First of all, I hope that you're not doing it and wasting your money while also being, really, having a tough time, right? But you do have that right, and it will definitely get responded to. But Charlie won't specifically reciprocate that to the level that you may have said it to him, right? You may say something kind of boilerplate in a way, like, hey, I'm really sorry about this situation and stuff like that, right? But I mean, he's not gonna explicitly mention what's going on, or try to relate to or have a conversation with you. So just keep that in mind, and that doesn't just apply to like really intense ones. It's just that for those in particular, I know people are gonna be in this situations where you just really want to reach out and say something, just to let it off your chest, and all the power to you, but he's not gonna have a conversation with you about it. So just keep that in mind on if you're gonna spend money for that or not. Um, you may just have a better time saying it and just have listening to the other viewers responding and just letting that kind of console you a bit if you're having a bad time. That's totally acceptable. People definitely have take the time to do that. It's just that on YouTube you can't explicitly reply to someone's comment in chat, whereas you can do that on Twitch. So if you're gonna do that on YouTube, you can't really easily see if people are responding specifically to you most of the time. Um, so just keep that in mind. If you don't do it, you may feel like it's more appropriate to do it on a specific platform. So especially if you're doing it on a mobile device. So yeah, I think that covers everything as far as that goes. Um, it's really, you know, kind of been an interesting topic I've wanted to go over for a while now, because I've noticed that, like I said, I've been doing a better job of being very, good about the messages and the way I send messages on live streams to Charlie through the chat, and it has benefited me a lot. And you gotta understand that, like, the more you sub and stuff, the at least on Twitch anyway, you get like a better badge, I guess. Better might not be the best way to say it, but like, you level up your badge basically, and so it pops out a little bit more. It it may have some influence as to if it shows up to Charlie more prominently than others. Usually that's not the case, so it's usually just an outlier if your message is sent and you have like a red sub badge or something like that, where you've been like a 20-month sub or something like that. Like that's really for the most part a meaningless thing. But you can still do that on YouTube as well. If you're a member, you get like a little badge like that as well. I don't think it's as well established as like the Twitch one, where you can level up and get a different color, but you still get that, and all the power to you. But it probably won't make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things, especially if it's just going to get swept away by a very fast chat. So, yeah, I mean, if you really want to have a conversation in general, I feel like talking to Charlie is not the way to do that in general. Try not to get all parasocial and stuff. That's just a bad way to go about things. And you're not really going to be helping Charlie, and you're not going to be helping yourself by doing that. So, make sure that you're doing it with a purpose that is intended for a positive experience and not for like attention, or to have an actual conversation. At that point, like I said, you can just talk with the viewers on chat. So actually, it turns out that I've talked for quite a bit longer than I thought I would. So I'll leave the other part for another time, and I'll have that be sent out later on, and perhaps I'll do a separate video and just upload them on a different date, but we'll see. Hopefully you guys got a lot of information from this. It's not really easy for me to articulate this all in a concise manner myself on a YouTube video. So, obviously this wouldn't be the level of length of message of any kind that I was ever sent to Charlie. Although I did unironically send him an email recently, and that did kind of turn out to be a bit of an essay, but really it's just about being really concise, as for the most part, right? I sent an email because I want to say thank you and just to have that conversation. It was also to Matt, because Matt is also the person that responds to the emails now. It's not Charlie anymore. So because of the whole like human media group, I believe, which he basically has that established for the purpose of allowing content creators to earn a fair sum of money, and not to be blatantly ripped off by people who are basically stealing money from you when you really deserve a better income salary from your content and stuff like that. It's hard for me to really articulate because I haven't personally done it myself, but like that's how he does it. So I sent an email basically to Matt, but also kind of to Charlie as well, and that's basically how it goes. And if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna send an email, good luck to you. Godspeed. I don't think he'll ever respond, but that's probably not gonna be, like the same, thing as him not reading it. He may not respond, but he may read it, and you just won't know. And it is what it is, right? You take those chances, and you just have to take it with a grain of salt every time. Um, you know, so email, super chats, messages on Twitch chat, to Charlie, the little text box you get when you sub and you get to say something to Charlie. You always get a little chance to interact with you know your favorite content creator. It's just about the etiquette of it, etiquette, etiquette. However you say that, just really overall, not really a thing touched upon a lot. For especially Charlie in particular, he never really talks about that. Um, so I thought this would be really important to talk about here. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you for part B if you're gonna watch it. All right, take care. Bye bye.